Hello and welcome to the Games Upside Down podcast, the freshest podcast on the market, covering everything you need to know about the beautiful game. We'll be looking at the strangest parts of the game. We'll be looking at the Premier League all the way down to non-league, and we will be bringing you this podcast every single week to bring you the weird and wonderful world of the beautiful game. I'm Jamie, one of your hosts. I'm also joined today by Jeff.
Yo.
And by Harry.
Hello.
So basically, boys, what we're going to do today is this first episode. So we'll have a look at the Premier League. So obviously starts, as you're listening to this, it'll start a week today. So it starts on the 12th, the 11th of August. And yeah, just where we all really stand. So should we start with the Premier League? So obviously we've had Luton, Sheffield United and Burnley all come up. How are we feeling they're going to fare this season?
Not gonna lie, I think Luton are going straight back down.
Yeah, I'm probably going to agree with that. I think we're looking at a Derby situation. I think they could be coming to take the record from Derby. I think they've bought well and they've brought in some players that are gonna be able to make that step up. But I just don't think it's going to be enough.
No, I think they're a very small team with a very small budget, aren't they? I think that's the problem.
Very small stadium as well.
Not tiny, isn't it? Like, I mean, any stadium you have to go through someone's back garden to get to. It'd be awful, isn't it? A cracking atmosphere.
I don't know if that makes for a great away day or a terrible one, to be fair.
It's not one
Well,
I've
that's a
done.
good away day, but probably not good for them. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just think they're just a bit punching above their weight. I just think, yeah, they came up great, but like you said about Derby, I think they'll be straight up, straight down, and then it's just who joins them, really.
With who joins them, I think Sheffield. I think they'll go back down as well.
That's because you're a bitter hammer, though, Harry.
I mean, yes, that plays into it, but wait until we do the bottom three because you might be surprised with some of my selections here. But yeah, for Sheffield, they've come up, obviously. They've not got the strongest squad in the world, and they've just lost their star player, and Dia, I think his name, has gone off to Marseille. I don't know if you guys saw about this, but he was valued so highly by them that they had recorded a video to announce him as the new number 10 from Sheffield, for Sheffield, taking over from Billy Sharp, who's just retired, obviously a club legend. And he narrated the video himself. All been done. Video had been recorded, and then he has pushed for a move to Marseille. So I think really poor shape.
Traitor.
It sounds like a snake that Everton have just signed.
Yeah, snake situation. They happen more and more often now. There's always one.
No. So Harry, so you've got Luton and Sheffield United.
Yeah, Luton bottom, Sheffield 19th. And then as things stand, I'm making a very bold call here. I think West Ham United are the 18th place team.
Oh, Harry, that is a bold call.
Oh, man.
That is a bold call. I think we are looking very similar. What's happening to us this summer? There's a lot of disconcerting, whatever the word is, information coming out. The director of football's at loggerheads with the manager over signings. We've got senior players like Crespo and Scamacca not going to the team dinners for celebration of the year. It's just looking like a mess. We've not signed anybody yet, and no one seems to even know who our targets are. Well, I think we're looking very much like Leicester did last year, where following a successful season, we have no plan going forward. We've lost our best player already, and other senior players want out, and we're not close to signing anyone.
Well,
Could be
I think
disaster if that doesn't change.
Scamacca's off to Inter Milan. Last thing I heard was
Inter.
Inter or Atalanta, and he wants Inter, but whether he goes is a different thing. But apparently it's at 25 million, which I don't think is even a lot of money considering some of the money that's been spent. Like 25 million for a striker, I think that's a bit cheap to sell him at, considering your only other striker really is Mikel Antonio, who, I mean, hamstrings made of paper at this rate.
And also wants out to Saudi.
Yeah, wants out to Saudi. So, and if he goes, but like you said about Leicester, the thing I don't understand is Leicester couldn't buy any players because they had the financial issue or whatever it was last summer anyway. But
you guys dodgy stuff with the chairman, didn't you?
Yeah, something like that. Whereas you guys have just got 80 million up front, so it's not like you're short on money to spend. And I know it's not your necessarily directors or whatever's fault, because I know like McTominay, for example, who David Moyes really wants, but Man United want like 60, 70 million, which I don't think
Dreamland.
is good business. I can't see McTominay being worth £60 million. I just don't see it. Good player, but £60 million, really?
But he just doesn't. He doesn't get in the United first team. So how's he going to? How's he going to be stumping up 60, 70 million for quid for a kid who literally doesn't get in to the starting line? He plays well for Scotland, but then, with all due respect, Jeff, you could probably play well for Scotland.
But then this is where the discourse is, right? Because Moyes has his targets that he wants. And
Yeah.
I've read today from some reputable news outlets that Moyes really wants James Ward-Prowse. Great signing,
Yeah.
if you ask me. But apparently the new
Okay.
director of football has put a block on the move because he thinks he's overpriced and can get a better, younger talent. So there's nothing progressing because no one agrees. But yeah, that's enough West Ham. Who have you got? Who have you guys got in the bottom three?
Jay,
So I've got Sheffield United bottom. I've got it's a tough. I've got Wolves finishing 19th
Oh,
because they've had to sell all their best players.
yeah, they sold
in a
Ruben
couple.
Neves. Yeah.
They've brought in a
True.
couple in a very similar situation to my team Everton, but I can't be as brave as Harry and put me in the bottom three because I've got to have some kind of belief. And then it's a toss up for me. I think it's either going to be Palace or Luton that go down in that last relegation place. Luton, obviously, because they've got a small squad. They've improved, yes, but it's a massive jump from that Championship to Premiership. And Palace, they've not really signed anyone, have they? They've brought in, is it one lad? I can't remember. Harry, you might be able to help me with this one, but I can't remember the lad for Palace. But they've got rid of Zaha.
Yeah, I think that's massive for them.
They weren't doing well last season, to be fair. Well,
No.
if it was a couple of games longer last season, they could have been dragged well into it.
Yeah, they could have been in there, yeah.
You got Roy Hodgson, who's probably is he going to make it to the end of the season alive? To be honest, it's that Skeletor in the bottom.
I knew that was going to come up.
He did, isn't he? Honestly, he'd be like asking Nanny Shells to do it. You know what I mean?
That being said,
do you know what?
Go
on. Sorry, Harry, go on.
I think for Crystal Palace, it's more a case of who they sell rather than who they sign. They've lost Zaha, but they've known he was going for a long time. They've signed it's Jefferson Lerma, who was from Bournemouth, which I think is a decent signing.
Yeah.
But there's talks of people being after Eze, and there's also talks of a 35 million release clause for Elise. So if they lose players like that on top of Zaha, then they're going to struggle.
Well, that's
We'll beat Chelsea, won't it?
Yeah,
at least they'll end up with Chelsea, because it's where everyone's ended up. I know you're saying about Ward-Prowse, Harry. He's starting tonight. He's playing as we speak.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
I know he's in it, but it's the same as I don't know if Lavia is starting. I know Lavia.
No, he's not.
I know he's in the squad though, or he's involved anyway. But I think
Lavia's in the squad. Yeah.
I think that's Southampton playing what they have. I don't think that's. I think that's they don't know what to do if he doesn't play.
So if you look at the bench, like Che Adams is on the bench. He's reported to be moving to Everton, and so is everyone else. Lavia, obviously, he's on the bench still.
Going somewhere.
Like we said,
there might be a little bit of a difference in that Ward-Prowse is a club captain, though.
Yeah,
as it stands, he's probably expected to.
The thing about Ward-Prowse is, though,
I don't think Ward-Prowse will be there in September. I can't see Ward-Prowse and Lavia, both the same, being in the Championship next year. I know he's a club captain and whatever, but surely there's no way that which makes me think if West Ham aren't going to get him, who's going to get him? Because as far as I know, West Ham it was a one-horse race almost for West Ham.
I think we're still looking likely to get it. I know there's been a block on it at the moment, but
I think
it would surprise me if we don't go back in.
Yeah.
Especially as the window gets closer. I think financially Southampton kind of need to sell.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think they need to clear up, because I think he'll do a Mitrovic and just say, he'll force it. I don't think he'll do it publicly like Mitrovic and Fulham, but I think he'll say to him, "I want to leave." I can't see him. He's an England international. I can't see him be like, "Yeah, I'm just going to play in the Championship because, thanks to Southampton." And I think he's a good fit.
Do you think they'll come back up?
Yeah, I think they'll come straight back up. Well, okay, that's a good question. If they sell Ward-Prowse, Lavia, and they don't bring in anyone else, then I think it's questionable. But I still think, looking at their squad and their goal scorers, they do score goals, which I think is a a championship issue. All the teams that come up can't score goals in the Premier League, but I think Southampton have proven that they can score goals in the Premier League. Even last year, they still score goals. I think I don't want to say.
Yeah, I've got a memorable. Was it 3-3 or 4-3 over at Arsenal?
Yeah, something like that. They do score goals, so I think they'll come.
That was the problem. They leaked goals, didn't they? That was the problem.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think it's an offensive problem. The biggest problem going down is if you can't score, you'll just keep falling because goals win games at the end of the day. So I just think they'll bounce straight back up. To be honest, I don't see them staying down there very long.
No. Who's your bottom three then, Jeff?
Bottom three, I've got Luton going down bottom, and then this is actually it's good that you brought up Palace. Because Palace was one of mine that I was tossing and turning, but I've gone Luton and then I've gone Sheffield United, who I do think, I have to say, have a chance at staying up. I don't think they're definitely down, but I think they're on the edge. And then two teams that I think are on the brink, or three actually. So I think Bournemouth, I think Palace, and I also think if Mitrovic doesn't play again, I think Fulham will be on the brink. Along with last year's, like Everton and whatever, but I think Everton will be fine. I think a full team with Sean Dyche for as long as he's had, I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be too good defensively and too well organised, and I think they'll nick goals when they need them, and I think they'll stay up. But I think Fulham will get dragged into that this year. I really do. If Mitrovic doesn't play for them, then I can't see him. I just see him falling. They'll be like a Leicester. Because I think it's not even so much about the players anymore. Like watching Leicester go down last year was like horrifying because I can't believe they had all those players that won a Premier League. Yes, it was years ago, but you still have, you've gone from that to relegation in what, 6 years, something like that. Is that right?
Maybe
a
about that. Yeah.
A bit longer, something like that. But I just think that's a big drop off to say they were. I mean, they were in the Champions League. They got out the group. They make it out of the group.
Yeah.
I felt like they made it out of the group. Yeah. And now you're down. Like, yes, they lost Mahrez, but their core and Kante and those players. But I think the way Brendan Rodgers had them playing the year prior, they didn't lose anyone. It's not like they sold Vardy and Tielemans and Maddison then. So I can't understand the change that they dropped down. So for me,
it's like the culture change, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
First thing once Ranieri went,
sudden drop off.
It's once Ranieri went, it was that whole dogs of war kind of thing, and the culture around the whole team. That's when it started dipping. And obviously, you bring Brendan Rodgers in, who, yes, did it all, has done it all, doing it all in Scotland. But it's that Scottish debate again.
I do think he's solid. I like Brendan Rodgers. I think he's a good manager. I think he would have done well with the Arsenal job when they hired Arteta, and he was in talks for that. I think he would have done well with that, but not necessarily as well as Arteta's done, because I think he's done a great job. But I do think he would have done a good job. But I just think Fulham will get dragged into that. And I think Palace losing Zaha is way bigger than people are making it out to be, because I think, yes, they have this young core, but I just think everything flowed through him. I think he was their vocal point of everything going forward. And I just think without him, they're going to be a bit like, puppies at the pound sort of thing, just a bit lost. So I think they'll get pulled into it. And then Bournemouth, I just look at them and think they did the staying up thing. They just scraped it, and I just don't see where they're improving. Like, as in making the strides. Like as in to say, yeah, we're definitely not going to be in the battle this year, but I could definitely see them going down. And I think Sheffield United could stay up. I just have this thing. I just feel like they could. I don't know why. I have no evidence to support that. But
we all know Harry's reasoning behind it, but I can't see him doing it. And to be honest, until I started putting stuff together for the podcast, reading stuff, I forgot they come up. To be honest, and they didn't come through the playoff. That was it's mental. So we've done the relegation. We should go top four then. So Harry, top four, starting off obviously first to fourth.
Yeah. So do you want me to go top down? Yeah.
Yes, please.
Okay, so I can't see anyone other than Man City winning it again. They've just got too good a squad, and with the reinforcements they've brought in, I know they've lost a few players, but whatever Guardiola does seems to turn to magic. So with the arrivals of Kovacic and the incoming Vardy, they're gonna be winning it again. I've got Arsenal in second. I think they've bought really, really smart, and with another year of a really young core together, we'll see them push City close again, but I just think City are too strong. This is where it starts to get a bit bolder for me. I've got Chelsea in third place.
Yep. Ooh, great shout.
So I think Pochettino is an excellent manager. They've had a massive, massive clear out of Chelsea, and they've lost big names. You look at Koulibaly, Mason Mount, Kante. They've lost all these big names, but none of them, bar maybe Kante, have been performing for them over the last couple of years.
Well, even Kante, I think, has been injured for.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
weeks
people
on
are
end.
saying they've lost an awful lot of players, but they've lost a lot of players from a team that finished 10th or 11th last year.
Yeah,
I think they've bought smart, they've bought young, and they've got a really exciting coach. They're my dark horse this year. Fourth place, I see Newcastle retaining the top four.
That is a bold choice, Aaron.
Tonali and Harvey Barnes coming in. Yeah, watch your space. You might laugh now, but laugh at me in August.
No, do you know what? I can see it. I can see it happening. But I feel like, I don't know, I just feel like this season that just went by was, I don't want to say a fluke, but I just feel like Chelsea in 11th, Newcastle in 4th, Arsenal in 2nd. Like, the planet is spinning on the wrong axis, all right? It's just spinning the wrong fucking way. So
You're
I just
saying
feel
that,
like...
You're saying that. This is the football I remember. You being a young whippersnapper.
Yeah.
But I remember Newcastle being in Champions League semi-finals.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
This is normal.
No, Newcastle, I think, as well, they're a big enough club. The size of the club is correct. Like, they could be, like, they're not going to be out of place in the Champions League. I don't think they will. But I just think it's like everything's gone a bit wild. Shit's hit the fan everywhere. And suddenly it's just going to come down. And I feel like there's just going to be this return to, okay, this is the top 6. And these are the 4 or 5 clubs that are trying to get into the top 6.
I disagree. 100%. I
100%.
think when you look at the top 4 I just said, a lot of my reasoning was, well, if not them, who? Right?
Yeah.
I don't think Manchester United bought sensibly. Yes, they've brought in Mason Mount, but I think that's a very average signing for a Manchester United team
at all. I agree, but
I think Onana is. I don't know enough about him, but what I see from Onana, he's just as mistake prone.
He's
as
he's a mental
De Gea, right? They've got an awful lot of work. Casemiro's come back looking like Nathan Shelley from pre-season, so God knows where they're going to go.
I love that.
Liverpool.
That haircut is not suiting, by the way.
Yeah, right.
Whoever did that to him, did they not tell him, mate? I don't think you should go through with that. I feel like someone should have stopped him.
I think Liverpool have bought well, but are they strong enough to get back into the top 4 based on the season they've just had? I don't think so. I think the Klopp experiment, I say experiment, he's been there a long enough time, it's a bit of a disservice. But I think they need to freshen things up. They've lost a lot of leadership, they've lost a lot of more well-respected heads around him, Jordan Henderson going out. I can't see them getting back into Champions League football. Tottenham, especially if Harry Kane goes to Bayern.
Oh, they've offered
don't see it.
100+ million today. And they want an answer
midnight
tonight. They want an answer. They've said
we'll get an answer because he's in prison. He'll be doing
the owner, isn't he?
Yeah, he'll be in bloody Alcatraz. There's no way he's getting an answer.
That's unreal.
So I know I've put Chelsea and Newcastle in there as well. I just look at the other teams around that you would expect to be challenging.
Yeah.
And I just don't see any of them.
And Newcastle, I have to say, they're very well. They seem to just be flying under the radar constantly. Like, not just last year, but I feel like even now they're not talked about enough. I feel like it's the same thing with a lot of these managers. Is the same thing about Everton staying up. I think when you get a full summer, you know your squad, you know what works, and then you just better that. I just think they're one of them teams that will be. Well, I think it will be a Leicester. It'll either be they'll keep going and they're pushing on, or they'll do a Leicester and they'll fall off and they'll be back in 10th or 11th. But
do you know what it is with Newcastle? The reason they're going, as you say, under the radar is because they're buying sensibly. They've not gone out and tried to splash 80 million on someone like I don't know who's a top end. They're not trying to spend like a £200 million killing Mbappe signing or trying to sign Harry Kane for 100 million. They're buying sensibly to fit the players.
We did it when Everton did it when Mashiri came in. We obviously spent money on Pickford and stuff, which was good. We brought in Sandro, which neither of you two are going to remember. He was that awful.
Yeah. Do you know what I remember that?
We watched it in Portugal.
Every time on FIFA, I used to sell that bloke every single window.
Mate, I couldn't get anyone to buy him off the team manager.
Literally, They are, yeah. That Everton, I don't know what happened to you lot for about 4 years,
You
but
had him,
everyone you signed
Sandro,
was utter shit. Like
Morgan
utter shit.
Schneiderlin. There's so many.
Where are
There's
you
so
buying the?
many.
No, do you know what? Schneiderlin was like a maybe he'll revitalise his career because he was quality at one point. But for some reason, you
Yeah, but
guys
there's
seem
so
to sign
many of
all
them.
these like foreign players, but they're all from like leagues that
Yeah,
I've never heard of or from divisions that are simply not good enough.
no,
Like
exactly.
I
Well,
feel like Newcastle, to be fair, have gone out and bought a lot of foreign players in, but they're quality foreign players.
they're
They're playing
proven,
in
aren't they?
Bundesliga. Yeah, they're playing in Serie A. They're playing in La Liga. Where
Like
wherever you're
Isaac.
getting them from. Yeah,
Isaac was a proven one. He's
he
been doing really
was.
well
I
in the
think
Liga.
I think he's probably the best signing that I've seen a club make in a while. I think he completely changed their forward momentum. I think they are scary going forward now. And now they've added
Mm.
Tonali, who is on track to be like the next Pirlo. I think he just he constantly breeds class, and I think that's what I don't see yet when I look at Newcastle is class. I think their quality. I don't think they're class. Like the top six when they play, well, the so-called top six when they play, there's this level of class around them. Like that's who they are, and I think Newcastle don't have that yet. But he's a big pull in that direction. So in terms of top four, yeah, I don't think you're as far off as I thought you were when you said that. When you
So
said
who are you
that,
having
I
then?
went really, but now I've said it out loud. It
Yeah,
doesn't sound that
let's hear your
crazy.
top four. Who have you put
Go
in
on then.
there?
I've got. Call
It's
it
already
ballsy.
ridiculous.
Yeah, it's already ridiculous. No, I think seriously think, and this does depend on what happens with City in the final of the window, the final remaining time. But I think Arsenal are serious.
I'll end the podcast now.
I'm gonna say Arsenal with the league. I just think they will. I just think they're bought so well. They're bought so well. I can't like they haven't just bought players to fill spots. They've bought Timber, who I can't believe they got him for 30 million because United and Ten Hag wanted him and they were quoting him 80 million pounds. He is, I think, the next best centre back on earth. I think he's brilliant. He's quick, he's powerful, he's strong, and he can play out from the back, which is exactly what Arsenal centre backs cannot do. I think he fills that void. And then Declan Rice is Declan Rice. I just think he gives them that thing they don't have right now, which is leadership. Even like Odegaard is captain, whatever. No one gives a fuck. Declan Rice is basically going to be captain because he is that leader that they haven't had at the club since Vieira left. I don't see them. I mean, even like Fabregas was captain, I wouldn't call a leader. Honestly, probably my favourite player to have ever touched a football, says Fabregas, but not a leader. Declan Rice fills that void. And so you filled your biggest issue, which is centre-back and leadership, and then you've just gone and added a touch of class. And I don't think Kai Havertz is what everyone wanted him to be when he signed for Chelsea. But I do think he's incredibly disrespected by people. Yes, they paid a lot for him, but this guy was, I mean, you see it in spurts with him. I think Chelsea played in the wrong position for a long time because of obviously whatever their striker situation was last year. But I think he's a serious touch of class. And I think him and Odegaard they're the creative strings. Jesus gets himself fit, for fuck's sake, then I think my prediction will work because I think that man scores more goals in this setup than anyone else. I think he's an unbelievable striker as well. So I have Arsenal winning it. And I'm very confident now I've said that, lad. I have Arsenal winning the league, to be honest. And then I have City second. I know this is going to be. They're not even going to get top four, are they now? Of course, no. I think and I think City second because it's City, and I think it will be. And it is a toss-up. I'm not saying Arsenal are outright going to whitewash the league at all, but I do think they are. They've put themselves up over the top. I really think. Last year they got like three-quarters of the way through. I think this year they're going to get 7/8 there, and then they just have to get that final piece. I think they have to just push it over the edge. And they've got City. Then I've got Chelsea, like Harry. I think Chelsea will be because I think their culture was just absolutely atrocious. And I think the clearer out there, everyone's saying is, oh, I've lost so many players. Fantastic idea. I think brilliant. I would have put people up for free and just said take them out with a sign outside the training ground because they needed to get rid of that culture.
Like free puppies.
Yeah, literally, just put them out on the side. Free puppies with a sign. Please take. We don't want anymore. And I think Pochettino, Harry's 100% right. I think probably one of the best managers in the world, without doubt. I think he's top draw. I can't believe they went out and got him, truthfully. And I think he's brilliant. And I think Nkunku, pre-season, yes, it's pre-season, but they've looked very good. They've looked very good, and I think they're only going to get better. So Chelsea in third, and then I think Newcastle is a great shout, but I think United will get fourth only because of how well coached they are. I think Ten Hag is gonna absolutely like make this team into what United should be, and then it's just they need to win the games. But I think you need players like Rashford to show up, because last year he showed up. This year, if he goes missing again, well, they're in trouble. But I think if all goes well for them, I think United will be in the top four. And then that's my four.
Right,
I mean,
let's
he's
hear from you,
great.
Joe.
So I've gone obviously City top because
Oh.
it's City, isn't it? I mean, they can't. I can't see anyone beating them. I can't
They
see
can.
even
I'm
last
telling you,
season.
they can.
Last season was Arsenal's chance. They had it near enough sewn up, and then City did City
Yeah,
and
it's
just
true.
did it again.
They came second in a one-horse race. It's true.
Exactly, it's ridiculous. That City could have literally played boring football, their second string, up until the World Cup break last year, and then still would have walked away with it in the end because it's just City. They know how to win, and they're the only
Well,
team in that league at the moment. And now
their second string is everyone's first string, I think, for the minute.
I'd take their third string.
Yeah.
I'd take Scott Carson in goal at the moment. Up front. I'd put them up front. Anyway, so I'd have them first. I have got Chelsea in second. I think they'll push them. I know it's a big jump. Big jump. Chelsea
but I don't
second.
think it's impossible.
No, not at all. I think
stretch.
they've done well. They just need to gel. As the problem is, they can't be 11 players on the pitch. They've got to be a team, and they've got to gel and come together. So as long as they start decently and then carry on, and then their dip isn't as big as a dip as it was last year, where it's catastrophic, more like canyon.
Yeah, well, I don't really think they had a dip. I think they were just shit from minute one. To be honest, I think they were utter shit.
I didn't want to be that harsh, but yeah,
they did. I think they were.
They were.
I cannot believe. I can't remember a time where I thought, "Oh, Chelsea fallen off a bit." No, they fell off from minute one. The whistle went, and they were fucked immediately.
100%. And then so I've got City, Chelsea, Arsenal in third. They'll do well. They've bought well. They just need to make sure they don't make the same mistakes they did this year. And bringing in that Rice character, like we said, that leadership is good. And he won the Conference League last year, but then trying to win the Premier League is a completely different kettle of fish.
Yeah.
Trying to do it week in and week out is trickier. And then in fourth, I've got United, Manchester, obviously. I don't know why I think they will. I think Anthony will push on this year. He was fantastic at Ajax the season before last.
He's the big question mark, I think.
I think he'll be fine. I think he'll do really well at United. Will he bring in this fella from at Atalanta, isn't it?
I just think he's so unproven. He's just so unproven.
Oh, the Dolberg, something like that.
That's why I let you say it, Harry.
I can't.
He's not Dolberg, but I do know. I can't say.
I don't know what you mean.
See Doyley, bringing the Doyley up front.
I think
put him up front.
He's just so unproven.
The eBay version of Haaland.
Yeah, literally didn't Atalanta, but I think I heard they bought him for 20, and the club that bought him first bought him for 5.5. So he's gone 5.5, 20 to 65 million in 2 years.
Yeah, but
I don't fucking.
We'll talk about this in a minute, but like with this whole Saudi debate, this is everyone's worth a ridiculous amount.
It's not just happening in fucking Tesco. It's everywhere. It's inflation.
No, my Scotch egg has gone up, and so has the price of me Doyley from Atlanta.
It's true.
It's ridiculous. So I think United have bought well. I think Mount will do well at United. He'll do well under Ten Hag. He's a Ten Hag type of player.
He's a Ten Hag player. Yeah, well said.
Definitely. So I think so. Yeah. So City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and United. So they're my top four. 5th, 6th, 7th. The tricky one. Obviously Newcastle are going to be up there. So I've got Newcastle in 5th. Part of me wants to say Tottenham in 6th. To be honest. Yeah, I know. But I can just see Tottenham doing it. And then, I can't see Brighton doing anything again this season.
No.
Can't. That 7th placement is a tricky one.
Do you know what? I know you might not want to say it, Joe, but I think you have to put Liverpool in 7th.
No, never. No, I'll have to. Liverpool in 7th.
I just think they will.
Yeah. So
that's interesting.
5th, 6th, 7th. Yeah, Newcastle, Tottenham, Liverpool in that order.
Interesting. Okay. Go on, Jeff. You go first. I feel like I've gone first or second every time so far.
I've got. Do you know what? Looking at it, yeah. All right. I've got Newcastle in fifth, and I've actually got Liverpool in sixth because I think they will. I think they're that good. And I know you said about Klopp being redone, but I just think Klopp is one of the managers who this year I honestly think will come back and will have them playing the way that they need to play. I just think he's that type of manager. And then I think Tottenham will slip in there in seventh. I think they'll be fine. I think, do you know what? Who I actually think will get seventh? No, fuck Tottenham. They won't get seventh, especially if Harry Kane goes. I think Villa will get seventh.
Ooh.
Yeah, good shout.
I think Villa will get seventh. I just think they're the turnaround they had last year, and you've given this bloke Tielemans and a couple of other players I know they've signed, but I know they're quality players because I've looked at them and gone, fucking hell, they're going to Aston Villa. Like they DRB,
yeah.
Quality
Pau
player.
Torres, the other one.
Yeah. Oh my god, unbelievable signing. Like those three players alone turn them from mid-table to pushing Europe, and then I think they're already pushing Europe. They're I think they could get sick. I think if Liverpool fuck it up again, then I think Villa will be sick. But I think I'm going Newcastle, Liverpool, Villa.
Okay,
Interesting, Harry.
Obviously missing out on Champions League football leaves Manchester United available. So they've got the fifth place spot for me.
Good shout.
I do think it'd be close for them for top four between them and Newcastle. It wouldn't surprise me if it did go the other way. But I've got them at fifth in the moment. All the reasons you guys said. I think Ten Hag is a great coach. They made some interesting signs. I'm not convinced, but with the caliber of their squad, they've got to be there or thereabouts. I completely understand what you're saying with Klopp, and he is a good coach. And part of the revival towards the back end of the season for Liverpool, because there was a time towards the end of the season where they were looking like they could even snatch top four. And that's down to the tactical adaptations from Klopp, moving Alexander-Arnold into the midfield with that weird pivot thing where it goes from right back to centre mid in the transition.
He'll be playing there for England next.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a weird one. So it wouldn't surprise me to see them back up there. But as with Jamie, I've actually got them in seventh place. I just don't think they've got enough moving on, or they've not brought enough in to build on what they had last year. And my sixth place spot has gone to Aston Villa, which do mean Tottenham miss out on the top seven spot. I think Unai Emery is arguably one of the top coaches in the league. There's not many coaches I look at and think I'd rather have than Emery. And again, for all the reasons you said, they've bought really well this year. Pau Torres, Moussa Diarra, Yuri Tielemans, three excellent signings and possibly more on the way. My big question mark for Aston Villa is whether or not being in Europe means that they have a smaller squad. And playing on the Saturday is tough. But then it didn't affect teams, like us. For the last couple of years. Obviously, our league season wasn't great last year, but the year before that, we still finished 6th or 7th playing in Europa League all the way through to the semis.
Yeah, 100%.
So it can be done. And Emery's a specialist in Europe, right? He won it how many times with Sevilla?
Yeah, with Sevilla.
No, exactly.
3, 4.
So, they're my sixth place finish.
So there we are. We've got the Premier League wrapped up. Be interesting to see when we look at this time in May.
Yeah.
See how
this is going to be funny.
How wrong we all were, because there's no way we're all right.
I'm going to be watching Arsenal all year fucking long, I tell you. They better do me justice.
You'll be done by Christmas.
Yeah,
done by Christmas.
We'll talk at Christmas. I go, yeah, that didn't age well, did
it? So that's it for episode 1 of the Games Upside Down podcast. Please remember to follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter or X, whatever it's called these days, whatever Elon's decided. We are on Instagram. You can find us on YouTube. Find us on all podcast providers. Remember to give us a 5-star review. Like, subscribe us to us on YouTube. And we're all here for the love of the game. So thanks, guys. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you. Goodbye.